Hello, I'm going to show you how to do vibrato on a violin or viola. I'm going to be demonstrating on my viola, but the motion itself is going to basically be the same for violin as well. So, I'm going to be showing you how to do vibrato the way that I learned how to do vibrato because it has been pretty successful for me since I learned how to many moons ago, and I've gotten compliments on it ever since I've been able to do it. So, why not teach you the same way? So the first part, obviously, make sure that you have a shoulder rest, whether it's something like this or your sponge or whatever, because you need to make sure you have a very good setup here and that you're not holding your instrument at all with your left hand. You can do jazz hands, yay. Okay, so you're gonna take your thumb and put it in the curve of the neck so it's underneath, so you should not be able to see it poking over the other side. It should be hiding underneath. Okay, then you're gonna take whichever finger you want. I usually start with second finger when I'm demonstrating, and I think that's probably what I started with before. Really, it's kind of whatever you want to start with, probably not your pinky. So I'm going to start with second finger. I'm going to flop it down on my second highest string. You can do it on your highest one if you want, it doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to kind of put it down on the tip of my finger, just kind of where it naturally lands, okay? If it's a real note, cool. If it's not a real note, it doesn't really matter. Okay, we're just focusing on the motion. We're not worried about intonation or anything right now. Okay, so fingers curved and on the tip. Okay, and then this part of my hand, underneath my pinky, is going to touch the shoulder of the instrument. Okay, so when you're doing that, you should have a pretty straight line leading down your forearm. Okay, if you're doing something like that or you're like this or something, then you're not doing it right. Okay, so thumbs in the curve of the neck, like so, fingers on the tip and curved, and you're touching the side of the shoulder. Okay, so the whole basis of the motion is that you are starting with your hand touching and then not touching. Touch, not touch. And that's the basis of the whole thing. Okay, obviously it speeds up and it gets more narrow, but this is the basic idea. Okay, notice that my wrist and my arm are staying relatively straight. Okay, I'm not doing this. Okay, I'm not leading with my wrist out. Okay, I see that a lot when people are learning vibrato. Okay, the wrist should be flexible. It shouldn't be stiff, but you shouldn't be like doing this. This is bad. Okay, so if you're doing this motion, the motion is happening kind of in the forearm and a little bit in the wrist, okay? This is kind of a combination of wrist and arm vibrato, okay? So what's happening, the motion's happening down here, but as a result, my finger is pivoting, so it starts upright, kind of like that, and then when I have my hand not touching the side, it kind of leans back. My finger is not sliding, I'm not doing that, okay? So it's nice and upright and curved, and then it kind of is leaning back. So there's a pivot kind of happening in my finger, but I'm not making that happen, okay? I'm not focusing on my finger moving. That's just a reaction to this happening, okay? So the motion is more down here, and then the finger pivot is like the effect, cause and effect, right? Okay, so this is the general motion, okay? You want to make sure this is pretty even and consistent, because if you're going like bump, 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 and you like try to actually put that in the music, it's going to be really distracting. It's not going to be adding to the music. It's just going to be weird. So you want to make sure that you are changing the pitch. That's like the whole point of what vibrato is, right? So when you feel like you kind of have the motion going okay, and you're still staying pretty slow, you can test it out with your bow, okay? And you always start with your hand touching the side, okay? You want to start out on the pitch, and then you're going back. So you want to make sure you hear a change when you're moving, okay? If it sounds like the same pitch, then you're not doing the movement right, okay? The whole point of vibrato is you're alternating, you're vibrating the pitch. Okay, so if you don't hear a change when you're doing it, then you need to reevaluate what the motion is, because you're not doing it quite right. Okay, because then you're doing a whole bunch of work for no result. And that's obviously frustrating, especially if you practice it for a while and there's nothing to show for it, right? So do slow practice. Think of rhythms. Go like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then like triplets, going triplet, 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 and then 16th notes, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and then you can do sextuplets, which is 6 notes. And that'd be like triplet, 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 triplet. And as you're speeding it up, the motion's going to get smaller. So eventually your hand is like not going to touch at all on the side, or it's like barely going to touch. And then after sextuplets, you just speed it up a little bit more and you have vibrato. Okay. I'd recommend setting a metronome to maybe, when I did it, it was quarter note equals 50, 50. And I started with the movement being quarter notes, so every click was a quarter note, and then 8th notes, and then triplets, and then 16th notes, and then sextuplets, and then it was basically vibrato. Okay, practice it every day that you practice, and I recommend maybe starting your practice session with it, then do a bunch of other stuff, and then end your practice session with it. So that way you're practicing it twice every time that you practice. And that's going to help you get more comfortable with the motion, and it's going to give you more experience and chances to get it solid. Okay? Good luck.